From the Detroit Free Press, it's Wednesday, April 21st. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bush's.com/join-our-team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join-our-team.
All rise for the jury.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kerry Jr. II.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District.
On Tuesday, the jury in the case against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin reached a verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
They found him guilty on all 3 counts in the murder of George Floyd last May.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty.
Detroit Will Breathe gathered with protesters downtown in anticipation for the verdict. Here's the group's co-founder Tristan Taylor after the decision was announced.
I think justice was served today, but I think real justice, we got a long way for that, which is why most people have mixed emotions, because we can't forget about Dante Wright. We can't forget about Breonna Taylor. We can't forget about Adam Toledo, right? Yeah.
Here are just some of those mixed emotions from protesters and Detroit residents.
What would be justice to you?
That we got guilty on all 3 counts of a murder that is plain as day and everyone saw it for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, if I got that right. He stood on a man's neck.
So more cases, more results like this.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I just felt sad. You know, there's no justice, there's no fairness once a life has been unfairly taken.
Do you think that this verdict could be a turning point in seeking justice for police brutality moving forward?
If you're talking about a national turning point, you're talking about seeing cities across the country take on policies directly addressing racism. It's no different than when you talk about environmental justice. Cities across the country can openly talk about the importance of addressing climate change, can openly talk about these things, and then they follow up with policies. So we've seen it. We've seen turning points on many other issues. So, no, we do know what it looks like. I do know what it looks like. It looks exactly like it's always looked for anything else, just dealing with race.
I am totally grateful to the jury for listening to the facts of the case and coming back with what I know is a just conclusion. And I just really hope that moving forward, we have these kinds of results. There have been so many since he died, and we're going to keep waiting for those verdicts to come back too. It's painful that we have to go through this, but always one step closer to something better.
The next step is sentencing, where Chauvin faces 12 and a half years in prison. To read more on the trial and the protests that ensued after the verdict, head over to freep.com.
I'm Clara Hendrickson with the Detroit Free Press. Republican lawmakers in Michigan's House introduced legislation that would dramatically change how Michigan awards its electoral college votes. When Michigan voters cast their ballots in presidential elections, they're voting for the slate of presidential electors nominated by the political party their preferred candidate belongs to. The candidate who wins the most votes statewide wins all of Michigan's electoral votes. 2 House bills would change that. Instead, electoral votes would be awarded to the winner of each congressional district, with 2 votes going to the statewide winner. Proponents of the proposal say it would incentivize candidates to campaign across the entire state. Critics say it bakes any partisan advantage held at the district level into presidential elections and argue it would disenfranchise voters if the candidate who doesn't win the state still receives electoral votes.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kristen Shamus. 2 of the nation's top health experts told the Free Press tighter restrictions would help flatten Michigan's worst-in-the-nation COVID-19 curve. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she has consulted with Dr. Josh Sharfstein of Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel of the University of Pennsylvania, along with 2 others to inform her and health department leaders on COVID-19 decisions. Whitmer has said repeatedly in the last 2 weeks that they advised her that policy changes won't reduce the spread of the virus. But Sharfstein told the Free Press that shutting down activities like dining inside restaurants, youth sports, and moving high schools to virtual learning would slow transmission in the state. Emanuel said the state should act to limit indoor and group activities with large numbers of people. He recommended restrictions on restaurants, bars, gyms, religious services, and weddings. On Friday, State Health Department Director Elizabeth Hertel extended the state's mask mandate through May 24th, and she broadened it to include children as young as 2. Hertel also extended requirements for coronavirus testing of youth athletes and capacity restrictions that limit indoor dining and retail capacity to 50%, while casinos, gyms, and indoor pools are limited to 30%. But these are some of the least stringent orders in place since the start of the pandemic. To learn more, go to freep.com.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.